very cutting edge of thought and revolution. It is a particular pleasure, an honor, a great privilege to stand among so many friends, to travel from Santa Fe, New Mexico on the invitation of Ann Bannister and see this extraordinary gathering of like minds and souls on this warm, sunny day, and hear these brilliant speakers and the variety of life and thought and heart that we feel before us and around us and within us. I'll touch on 3 points very briefly. A little history, a little current activity, and perhaps a reflection on the future. As was introduced a year ago, I had no idea that I would be a free man speaking to such a lovely group as this. I was in a very small cell, 60 square feet, all steel and cement, with a narrow slit in the wall and a cuff port for which one bent to be handcuffed to walk to the shower twice a week. And this effectively went on for, 20 years, under sentences of 2 life sentences without possibility of parole. Never ever to see or hold one's children or wife or family, career, job, future, income, most friends, all gone forever, never to be acquired again. That's a very dark place. And there are so many still there for nonviolent drug offenses. I trust that we'll look back in 100 years or 20 to see that it is uncivilized to maintain adults in long-term incarceration, decades, for nonviolent offenses. So it was a great privilege to be, by the compassion of a distinguished jurist and an act of Congress, actually, a great miracle, a series of miracles, to be released into this wonderful world. The first few weeks, I would frankly, walking the trails and the dry arroyos of Santa Fe, and little rabbits running across the trail, and people going, "Good morning, good morning, good morning." It was all so human and so blessed, so natural and so kind, and I had forgotten that gentleness that we all share. And so this is the world that you all are privileged, and I'm now privileged to occupy. And it was also a great wonder to step into the world where I see, as so many have referred today, the corporatization and medicalization of psychedelics. I'm caught between 2 worlds, because I know both those that are very much against patenting psychedelics and therapy, and those that are more classically underground and feel that perhaps mushrooms should be shared among friends as a gentle sacrament, so that we might walk down trails in the moonlight or sit around campfires and talk about things. So those were my realizations as a young man of 21, 54 years ago, back in the 60s, where I saw this kind of revolution the first time it happened, although it's not of the magnitude or the exquisiteness of what's going on now. There was, in 68, dancing in the streets as Orange Sunshine, 10 million doses of Owsley's material, matriculated across Northern California and throughout the world, Rome, Paris, London, extraordinarily revolutionary times of the anti-war movements. And we're all very young. There were no elders to ask what's going on. What is God all about, and why are we here? There was no one to talk to over 30. Don't trust anyone over 30. So today it's quite different. We have international instantaneous communication, sharing of huge data sets and files and photographs. And rather than seeing these cell phones, which I just discovered last summer, as separating us, I see them as drawing us more intimately and closer, because we can so very quickly communicate with our many friends and expand our social circles. It's a beautiful and evolutionary time, not only technologically, but in the reception that we're seeing for these sacraments. Ayana, who spoke earlier today, we were at a gathering last night, and she spoke that she hoped that during the great corporatization that's going on, that we don't forget to have a sense of reverence, and respect at least, for the power and magnitude of the subjective effects of these very special compounds. I personally am in the venture space, so I interview people pitching startups for mushroom extracts and retreats abroad and ketamine clinics and creation of novel analogs. And I can speak to that briefly. There are at least 300 or 400 startups now. They range from things that happened just a few months ago to billion-dollar corporations already on the American Stock Exchange, Cybin, Compass, Atai. Their leadership often is very experienced in terms of young men that have been through the personal long night of the soul, the transformations. Others are not so experienced. So I would agree with Ayana that we must encourage this corporatization, medicalization movement not to be so focused on profit, but be focused on the reverence and personal transformation and gentle, expansive heart that we have personally found, many of us in our lives, and that we hope to expose others to if they wish it. I'll try to be very brief. The space, the psychedelic psi space, is getting very crowded with these 400 entities and growing so rapidly I can hardly keep them listed. But we're seeing every conceivable claim as a panacea for all known psychiatric illnesses. We're seeing perhaps well-supported claims for treatment-resistant depression, for depression itself, for anxiety, for weight loss, for women's particular maladies, postpartum depression, some gender-specific things, for autism, every conceivable emotional, difficult, or psychiatric state is being claimed by some startup corporation somewhere in the world. And on top of that, every conceivable drug is being asserted as the salvation for that malady. Oddities like Salvinorin A, 2CB, 2CI, all the legacy compounds, DMT, mescaline, LSD, psilocybin, all their various analogs. Thousands of analogs are being created now by research chemists in China and India, all associated with the corporations. So we're seeing literally in the last 18 months, and certainly in the next 2 or 3 years, tens of thousands of new analogs coming out before us. And some of these, I think most will be uninteresting psychedelic washes, so what? Some will be terrifying little beast, like N-bomb, a killer that spread throughout India, sold as LSD. And a few will be precious gems, well thought out, prayed for, well designed, spot on for specific maladies such as cluster headaches, hopefully something broader like PTSD. So the future is most promising and most worrisome. So it is people like us that are the underground ground swelling, the people speaking, the people that are monitoring the morality and ethics of the large corporations. It is our voices which guide this. And so you must speak out when you can. Speak out to friends. Speak about the importance of handling these materials sacramentally and in a most precious way.